Morning everyone. I didn't get a chance to do a video at the Emirates Stadium last night. I did begin recording for a couple of minutes, but I had to head to the mix zone where I spoke to Noni Madueke and Gabriel Martinelli. So if you follow me on Twitter, I'm sure you'll see the quotes and the interviews with both of those. But I wanted to reflect on this outstanding night really for Arsenal in the Champions League, as they made it 5 wins from 5 in Europe. The only team in the competition to still have a 100% record, which is quite the achievement given what Arsenal have also put on the board in terms of points in the Premier League, and the fact they're also unbeaten without conceding a goal in the EFL Cup. But it was a performance that kind of captured all that's been sort of crucial and important to the rebuild under Arteta, really. I think in terms of just pure grit and determination and fighting, defensive solidity, Arsenal were really strong. I'll touch on Lewis-Skelly in a short while, because I wanted to talk about a difficult night for him. But otherwise, I think they limited Bayern to kind of minimal opportunities. Harry Kane had quite a difficult evening up against William Saliba. But I would say Michael Olise and Leonard Carl did look dangerous, Gnabry as well at times. But I think the fact that Arsenal really sort of killed Bayern up the other end in the second half with those 2 substitutions that they had. Obviously, losing Trossard was a major blow. I would be surprised if he features against Chelsea on Sunday. It does look like quite the sort of injury that will keep him sidelined for at least a couple of weeks, a calf problem, I believe. But the hunger from Noni Madueke and Gabriel Martinelli when they come off the bench was really impressive. Sorry, I'm just looking at my eyes there. I look like I'm still asleep, but I can assure you I'm not. Madueke and Martinelli have both, of course, been out injured recently. Trossard's had his moment in the sun. He's been brilliant. But it does kind of impress me, really, that, you know, I tweeted, this is what's different about Arsenal this year. Not only do they have the depth, but there's also the hunger. So for Madueke and Martinelli both to come on and score, I think that's almost indicative of, you know, just the trajectory of where Arsenal's season is going. Because if they were to pick up a key injury maybe last season, it would have been sort of like an inquest and, oh, how are we going to cope? But straight away, Madueke and Martinelli showing their quality with 2 goals from the bench. And it was a really comfortable win in the end. I think it was, again, a reflection of how good Arsenal are, that both Harry Kane and Vincent Kompany after the games both said, oh, I can't wait to play them again, or we need to play them again. Because basically, you know, Bayern were frustrated and wound up by that performance last night, in the sense that, yes, they matched Arsenal in the first half, but Arsenal got the better of them in the second half. And to be honest, that didn't surprise me too much, because I think I still look at Bayern's side and I feel like there are several weak spots. I mean, Dayot Upamecano last night I thought was terrible at times. He was like Bambi on ice. He got nutmegged by Abire Eze, was booked in the first half, could have gone in the second half for fouling Madueke. But yeah, that's the fact that, you know, Kane and company is sort of itching to rectify that performance against Arsenal maybe later in the competition is telling. I think with Bayern in particular, you face 2 different beasts, really. I think away from home, they're very much beatable, but at the Allianz, it's clear they're very difficult to beat. And obviously, Arsenal know that better than anyone, because they've had so many Champions League knockout ties against Bayern. Just a word on the midfield as well. I think Martin Zubimendi, I know Declan Rice will grab the headlines, because in the second half, he was the difference. He really drove Arsenal on with his tackling, his charges up the pitch. But Martin Zubimendi is such a brilliant player. I think he's been a game-changing signing, really, for Arsenal. I know they had to wait a long time to sign him, but I really do feel like he could be the one that is the real difference maker this term. He goes about his business so quietly, but if you analyse Arsenal's performances closely, his fingerprints are all over every victory. He's strong in the tackle, but he's very clever in the way he takes up positions. His interceptions are brilliant, but for me, what impresses me most is he's always looking to play positive passes into the final third. I think that's not really something that naturally you'd associate with Zubimendi, because he's very tidy and slick on the ball, and with his short game as well, he likes to pop the ball off with both feet. But actually, last night I saw him play quite a lot of diagonal balls into the final third, and I think at times Arsenal really need that when they bomb their fullbacks forward, particularly Timber on the right. I think Zubimendi's got that ability to just get the ball out of his feet, a bit like Kimmich really for Lennart Carl's goal, but just to get the ball out of his feet and ping a ball. But it gets Arsenal up the pitch so quickly, and they're very good in transition, as we saw for the second goal as well, when Ricardo Calafiori gallops forward and put that ball on a plate for Madueke. But it was a difficult night for Miles Lewis-Skelly. Now, Thomas Tuchel was there watching, as he does. He was at Old Trafford on Monday night as well to watch Manchester United versus Everton. He was spotted speaking to James Garner and Jack Grealish after the game in the tunnel. Obviously, two players that haven't really had a look in under his management. But Miles Lewis-Skelly obviously recently lost his place in the England squad, and he had a really tough time up against Elise and Carl. Not only did the Bayern goal come down his side, which I don't think there's any major shame in that, because Elise is a fantastic player, and the assist was magical, really, a really deft pass across the face of goal. But in the second half, Lewis-Skelly was really sort of in trouble up against Carl and Elise. Both of them went round him. Carl forced a save from David Raya before Elise sort of danced around him on the byline, and Lewis-Skelly couldn't initiate any contacts. It would have been a penalty, but literally I thought it was telling that there was a moment where Lewis-Skelly hoofed the ball clear and it went off the pitch. Straight away Arteta is going to the referee and bringing Calafiori on. I think it's a sign of a good manager, really, because it was clear in those couple of minutes that Lewis-Skelly had been dragged into deep waters, and Bayern was sort of having a little bit of joy and pressing for a goal. So I think that was clever from Arteta to pick the moment right to bring him off, and obviously Calafiori then gets the assist. So brilliant from Arteta on that front. He was very animated last night. Obviously booked as Conrad Lima dragged down Bukayo Saka. But Arsenal were looking so strong. Almost everyone's firing. I think there's a special shout out to Mosquera as well. I thought he was brilliant up against Kane. I know a lot of the battling was done by Saliba on Kane, but I thought Mosquera was excellent again. Just goes about his business so quietly. You don't even really recognise he's there at times, and I think that's the sign of a top defender, because up the other end you really did notice that Upamecano was on the pitch, because he was all at sea. He was really taking on the waltzers, so to speak, because he was sort of spinning all the time and lunging in, whereas Mosquera and Saliba just sort of, they look like they're still in first gear, which I think is such a always a good sign for a central defender, when they look like they're playing the game at their own pace. But yeah, it was a really positive night for Arsenal. Obviously their brilliant run continues, and it won't be long before they have that. Well, they might even already have it wrapped up, but probably need another couple more points on the board to make sure of that top 8 finish. But everything's looking sort of rosy and positive at this moment in time, and that kind of momentum is going to be key heading into Sunday's game, because Chelsea are also full of confidence, having hammered Barcelona 3-0. One thing that I wanted to sort of bring to your attention as well, which I liked, something I saw after the game, Gabriel Magalhaes was on the pitch. Obviously he's got this thigh injury at the moment, but he had a massive bear hug with Declan Rice, and it was the first thing he done, I believe, after entering the pitch, which I think, is telling that, these two are among the key players driving the standards this season at Arsenal. To not have Gabriel in a game of that magnitude, and also at the weekend against Spurs, who he loves to play against, and to come through so convincingly, I think it just shows that even a series of injuries, I still couldn't see Arsenal being stopped. I think they're in such a good place. Obviously, that's testament to Berta and Arteta as well, and the coaching staff, but they're in such a strong position. a bit more news to bring you actually as well is that Gabriel, Victor Gyökeres and Kai Havertz are believed to have had scans yesterday on their respective injuries. Obviously, Gyökeres has a bit of a muscular issue with his hamstring, which has seen him miss pretty much the whole month. I don't think he's played since November 1st when he scored the opener at Burnley and was subbed at half-time. Havertz is believed to have had a little bit of a setback with his knee. Obviously, it underwent a minor surgical procedure after injuring it on the opening day of the season against Manchester United. So I'm sure on Friday, when Arteta speaks, there will be a little bit of an update from him on the three players. But it looks like Arsenal was sort of trying to push towards having Gyökeres and Havertz potentially back available at the weekend, but I don't know whether if that will come too soon for them. Obviously, they're in pretty good stead at the moment with the way they're performing, but it will be a huge boost to have both players back. So I'm sure we'll hear more on that front on Friday. But if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll be back again soon.